breakdown of the day and what we're going to take and cover today. The first thing being mindset. Up until lunchtime, we're going to be in here in the classroom talking about stuff and answering some questions and everything. Mindset is a tricky thing because we can teach it a little bit to a degree, but you also either kind of have it or you don't have it, right? I can't tell you you need to care more. How can I climb inside your head and make you care more? I can't do that. So either you do or you don't. But we're going to discuss that. That won't take exceptionally long. Then we're going to talk about equipment. So one of the very, 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 very few things we can ever control in a fight is equipment. Because if it comes to a fight, do we get to pick where? Do we get to pick when? Do we get to pick how many bad guys? How the bad guys are equipped? How the bad guys are trained? What the bad guy's mindset is? We don't get to pick any of that. None of that. But can you pick what shoelaces you have on if there's a fight? You get to control it, right? Can you pick what firearm? Can you pick what telephone you use, right? Can you pick what flashlight you have? Yes, you get to control all that stuff. And that's pretty great if you really think about it. But can that go one way or the other? Can that be, boy, I would really give my left arm right now for something that's a little better than blank. So we'll talk about equipment. Then we have to talk about skill. Everybody likes to or enjoys to take and run around and do fun things, right? High-speed things, where it's okay, I'm gonna shoot you, you're gonna shoot me, and we'll do all that kind of stuff. But we don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. So we need to understand a little bit of skill as far as how to take and use a weapon, how to make a 911 call. We need to understand those individual pieces, those building blocks, before we get into tactics, which is problem solving. That's all tactics is. It's just problem solving. Here's a problem, and now I have to use that other stuff and solve it. Mostly folks dive into the tactics end way, 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 way too early. So here's the model that we're looking at right here for how this thing goes. Detect. What do we mean by that? Did you detect that something bad is going on? Were you aware before it was too late? All right? Then the reaction that we have. What do we have on both sides of the word reaction? We got over, and then we have clearly have under, right? What do we mean by that? So Mark, you detected something's wrong at your house. Something's going on, right? Maybe your badass car's in the driveway and someone's got it up on cinder blocks and they're taking your wheels. They're taking your what? Stuff. They're not in the house, they didn't kick a door in, they didn't break anything in. As much as that pains you that they're out there, it's just still stuff. So you say, not today, and you grab your shotgun and put a little face paint on, right? Go out in the driveway and start chasing people down the street, shooting at them with a shotgun. We probably classify that as maybe, probably an overreaction, right? An overreaction that you're gonna have a really tough time explaining later on. Whereas someone kicks in your door and they go through layer after layer after layer after layer, and you just sort of pull the comforter up over your head and rub your rabbit's foot and you hope it's gonna be okay. Underreaction, yeah, it's gonna be problematic. So we'll talk about how that works. Defend is when we're employing those skills and tactics, and then this word distance, I have asterisks next to this because I don't necessarily care how that distance is achieved. If the distance is achieved where the bad guy gets scared and he goes away, then we get distance between us. If the distance is achieved where we get up and get full accountability for our family, friends, and we get away, is the distance achieved. And that might occur, that might be involved of you leaving your own home and leaving that guy in there. And if you leave him in there and you get out with life and limb, is that a win? That's a good thing, that's a great thing. Now, for people's ego, that can sometimes hurt a little bit, which is sort of, I'm not gonna run away, right? That's my place, right? I'm not gonna do that. So, on your handout, there's this little thing that people invoke all the time. They really dig their heels in and puff their chest out, and they want to talk about this thing we call castle doctrine. Who's heard of this before? Anybody heard of this thing? Now, it has 3 names that it goes by. And those 3 names that it goes by depends on whether you're a fan, a foe, or you're in the middle. If you're a fan, you call it what?
Stand your ground.
No, if you're a fan, you call it castle doctrine, right? If you're a foe, if you're against it and you want to see it revoked or taken away or the law changed, what do people call this? They call these make, my day laws. Who's heard that before? You guys heard that? You heard that, Mark? Yeah. They'll say blah, 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 that's Florida's make my day law. And they're invoking Dirty Harry. They're invoking Clint Eastwood taking in his .44 Magnum and did it. So these are the two ends of the spectrum. And then in the middle, somebody said it a moment ago, which was what? Stand your ground. Stand your ground laws. Now, some states have specific language and specific verbiage, and other states leave it a little bit more ambiguous. But again, if you live in a given state, or you visit a state, or you're carrying in a state, you should know what the rules and regulations and laws are where you're at and how this whole thing plays out, because it can affect you. Just because a state doesn't have a specific provision on the books regarding this doesn't mean that the law can't work in your favor or theoretically work against you. But for the most part, what Castle Doctrine or Stand Your Ground or Make My Day laws state is that you have a right to not have to flee or to feel a reasonable presumption of safety in your home, in your car, at your place of work, or any other place you have a right to legally be. So think about what those are. Home, car, work, or a place you have a right to legally be. If you think about the last one, if you're at a park and you're just sort of sitting there at a park, it's not your home, it's not your car, it's not your place of work, but do you have a right to legally be in the park? And the answer is yes. And do you have a presumption of safety while you're there? And then are you obligated to run away or create distance from somebody if something happens to you? Now, there's a huge difference when we talk about this in the law. Things that can help you guys out in court is there's a big difference between should and could. Okay? So I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say it again in a little bit. If you preach to the converted, you're not doing yourself any favors. What do I mean by that? So it's a Saturday morning. Everybody gave up their precious time and came here to get educated on this topic. And that's awesome. That's fantastic. How many of y'all think if you go to court for something related to this, you're going to get 12 people like people in this room on your jury? How many of you guys think that's going to happen? It's not going to happen. It's not. So if you puff out your chest and wrap yourself in the American flag and have a bald eagle on your forearm, and you say, Castle Doctrine, stand your ground, that's my right, right? America. And slam a natty light when you do it. No one cares. No one cares. It's not this crew that's in here. You're going to have to make an impression upon other people, potentially people that completely disagree with what you think. You guys understand that?